Hey folks, it's Rob, and welcome back. We're continuing our series on the Monstrous Compendium Appendix for the Mystara setting. We're continuing now into the letter M on page 77. Unfortunately, this is a two-pager, but, split over the front and back page. So, no art on this page, interestingly, as a way of formatting. The art's here on page 78. Where we have, well, it's bald-headed, uh, definitely presenting female, um, in a red and yellow outfit with a lot of electrical sparkiness going on. But I'd say it's actually a fairly reasonable scan for a change, so that's nice. And it'll be today's creature, the Magen. Um, well, our first creature of the day. And really, that's four creatures, as you can see, as it breaks down into four types. We have the Demos, the Cauldron, the Galvan, and the Hypnos. So let's get started. Climate terrain, any, in every case. Frequency, very rare, in every case. They are solitary, in every case. Activity cycle, any, in any case. No diet, just nil. Intelligence average at 9, all across the board. Demos have a treasure type C. Cauldrons have a treasure type V. Galvans have a treasure type C. And Hypnos have a treasure type U. These will be layer treasures because, there's no individual treasure listed. They are always true neutral. So Demos, I'm going to start running through these individually again. Instead of comparing them across when they're identical, right? But we are now going to diverge. So Demos, 2d6 appear. They have a 7 armor class or by armor type. Movement 12, so, fast enough on the ground. Hit dice 3 plus 2. To hit AC 0, 17. It gets 1 attack, which is by weapon. No special attack. It has spell immunities, has a special defense. It also has actual magic resistance at 30%. So, again, with magic resistance, which is not something you find too much of as a mechanic elsewhere, that is a 30% chance that the spell will just fail before you even get to any other type of defense, right? Size medium. They are 6 foot tall, about human size, honestly. Fearless morale, basically unbreakable morale. XP value 120. The Cauldron, however, 1d4 appear. They have armor class 5, and just 5. There's no armor type possibility. Move 12. They get 4 hit dice. To hit AC 0 is also 17. 1 attack by weapon. They have a special attack of Entanglement and Acid. They also have spell immunities and a magic resistance of 40%. They are also medium-sized at 6 feet tall, unbreakable, fearless morale at 20, and 175 XP. The Galvan, 1d3, 1 to 3 appear. Armor class 3, so significantly lower. Movement 12, hit dice 5. To hit AC 0, 15. 1 attack, which again by weapon. It gets a special attack of a lightning bolt. It has spell immunities like the other ones. 50% magic resistance. Size medium, 6 feet tall. Fearless, or unbreakable morale at 20. And 420 XP for the Galvan. The Hypnos, only 1 appears. Armor class 7. Movement 12. 2 hit dice. To hit AC 0 is 19. It gets 1 attack by weapon. Its special attack is Charm. It also has spell immunities, but its magic resistance is only 20%. Also medium, 6 foot tall. They are fearless, unbreakable morale at 20, and are worth 175 XP. I'm pretty sure what was pictured is a Galvan, considering the lightning bolt attack. Getting into the text box. Magens, pronounced Magens, so Magens, sorry, Originally, gens magica, or magical people, are constructs created by wizards of at least 12th level by means of complex conjurations and strict, obscure alchemical formulas. The procedure for creating a Magen varies depending on its type. Some Magens require extra work. In general, a wizard must anticipate a large expenditure of time and money. Wizards construct Magens out of a magically charged gelatin using shaped molds. Magens usually resemble perfectly formed humans, though some vain wizards fashion the Magen faces to mirror their own. Wizards never shape them to resemble animals or monsters, but sometimes give them bestial features. The creatures typically look grayish-white unless they are painted or otherwise decorated. Their smooth bodies can gain texture or the semblance of hair through the work of a skilled artisan. Magens feel warm to the touch with a consistency similar to that of human flesh. While these creatures might look alive, sages do not consider them living beings. They do not sleep or eat, nor do they have any emotions or free will. Well, they are constructs, right? When created, a Magen automatically knows how to speak one language its creator knows and has chosen for it. It can learn one or two other languages later, if taught. Interesting. A Magen follows its creator's commands without question, even to the death. It makes an ideal guard. Unlike most other constructs, these creatures can follow detailed commands and learn complex procedures to the same extent as a human of average intelligence. Magens even can be instructed in making simple decisions, if given criteria by which to judge events. While the Magens here represent all known types, experimentation continues. Powerful wizards might create new types at any time. Combat. A Magen can be taught to use one or more weapons and employ them frequently in attacks. Cauldrons, galvans, and hypnos also have special attack forms. Demos Magens use armor and weapons to serve their masters. Their creators give them the skill to use one type of melee weapon and one type of missile weapon. They can be taught more types later. If they wear armor, they enjoy the benefit of the appropriate armor class, provided it exceeds their natural armor class 7. No other type of Magen uses armor. Cauldrons have the ability to stretch their arms and legs up to 20 feet. So, they have that Dalsim Street Fighter attack. They do not attack with their legs, but can stretch them to reach otherwise inaccessible places. Cauldrons attempt to wrap their arms around victims and can use both arms in the same round, attacking one or two opponents. After a successful attack roll, the cauldron holds the victim and secretes a powerful acid that causes 1d10 points of damage per round until the victim is freed. Breaking free requires a successful open doors roll or the death of the cauldron. Note that the acid can destroy a victim's items unless saving throws are made for them. Galvans have the ability to store static electricity, which they discharge as lightning bolts 60 feet long and 5 feet wide. Those in the area of effect suffer 3d6 points of damage, though a successful saving throw versus breath weapon halves the damage. Galvans can discharge up to 3 bolts a day. Probably then need to go and, scuffle around on the carpeting some more. Whatever you want to do to generate static electricity. I'm making stupid, dumb jokes. Hypnos, physically the weakest Magen, provide a subtle power which makes them very powerful, especially considering how hard it is to tell Magen types apart. Hypnos can attempt to use Charm Person once per round. A victim who fails a saving throw versus spell believes the Hypnos to be a valued friend. One who makes a successful saving throw against the enchantment remains forever immune to the charm power of that particular Magen. Once per round, the Hypnos can contact a single charmed victim telepathically and use a suggestion spell. A target may attempt a saving throw versus spell to avoid following the suggestion, But if the saving throw fails, the victim follows any reasonable course of action the Magen suggests. The Hypnos bases its suggestions only on instructions from its creator. All Magens are immune to charm and fear spells, as well as to most other mind-affecting spells that affect emotions. Creatures can fall victim to hold and sleep spells. Interesting. It's a construct that you can put to sleep, even though they don't sleep normally. That is very interesting. Um, an unusual exception. I was not expecting that, actually. Hold, yes. Sleep, no. When a Magen reaches 0 hit points, its body dissolves suddenly in an acrid burst of multicolored flame and smoke. 1 round later, no traces of the creature remain. Even the odor has faded. It seems almost as if a being was never there at all. And that completes page 77. We now move on to 78, where we continue reading about this creature. As you can see. And yeah, kind of gray, pallid, suntan, moontan complexion, throwing lightning bolts. Sure. So here we are at the top of the page, if you're following along. Should a Magen's creator die, the construct almost always goes mad, launching itself on a rampage of senseless destruction until it is destroyed. Interesting. Habitat/society. Magens have no society of their own. However, they are reasonably intelligent and can speak. Some lonely wizards teach them to respond to conversation and to act in a polite manner, too. Since they have no will of their own, Magens never truly become part of society, except perhaps as slaves. While the constructs have no emotions, they can be taught to emulate them in certain instances. Demos are the most typical type of Magen. Their lack of special powers makes them good choices as aides in polite company. Wizards generally only use this type as domestic servants and consider them excellent bodyguards as well. One hardly ever sees cauldrons used as messengers or domestic help because of their slight acidic smell and their unsettling ability to stretch their limbs. Ecology. The ageless Magens exist purely through magic and do not need air, water, food, or sleep. As constructs that consume nothing, Magens have little impact on their surroundings except as potentially destructive forces. Most scholars and sages agree that Magens were developed by an impatient wizard or wizards who wanted to make a construct but did not want to wait to gain the considerable power needed to create a golem. Certainly, Magens are not as powerful as golems, and it takes less effort, money, and experience to create them. Some believe wizards developed Magens merely as practice before attempting to create golems. Magens have greater intelligence than golems, however, and sometimes can pass for human. And I gotta say, it sounds like they're actually way more versatile than most golems. Right? Sure, that clay golem will be a good defender of the tower, but so would, several of these guards with bows, right? And the lightning bolts. And, once again, the practice item is probably more flexible and usable than the main item you're shooting for. But, this is the book's speculation on what's going on, right? Top of the column of the second column. Some speculate that the immortals of Mystara handed down the knowledge of creating Magens to early wizards, but this theory cannot be confirmed. I mean, you'd have to go and ask, Ka and the dinosaurs. All Magens are composed of the same basic material, a liquid suspension charged with magic. Think of a magically charged gelatin. So, like a ballistic dummy, if you're a fan of Mythbusters, right? The liquid's actual composition varies, but all ingredients prove exotic and hard to come by, except in a large city with a well-stocked mages guild, alchemical college, or components store. The wizard creating a Magen must have a fully stocked laboratory at his disposal, including 1,000 gold pieces worth of special tools and equipment needed to create Magians. In addition, a mold must be fashioned of electrum. Most wizards hire a metalsmith or sculptor to help with it. Building the mold takes at least 6 weeks, more for finer work, and materials and labor worth 15,000 gold pieces or as low as 10,000 gold pieces if the wizard has the appropriate facilities and skills to help in the task. To make a Magian, the wizard must purchase 3,000 gold pieces worth of chemicals and obscure components for the suspension. The liquid takes 2 weeks to prepare, and during that time the wizard concentrates so steadily on enchanting and mixing it, he can do nothing else save eat, sleep, and rest. Once the wizard has prepared the suspension, he must add certain unique ingredients, depending on the type of Magian desired. To prepare a Demos, the wizard must add the melee and missile weapons he wants the completed Magian to know how to use. To form a cauldron, the creator adds a pair of tentacles from a roper or choker. Building a galvin requires a part of any creature that can generate electricity or lightning bolts. Finally, to create a hypnos, the wizard must liquefy a scroll holding a charm person spell and pour it into the mixture. The wizard transfers the prepared liquid to the mold and casts the following spells rapidly in this order: Lightning Bolt, Fabricate, Transmute Mud to Rock, Stone to Flesh, Domination, and Lightning Bolt again. The tremendous energy of this spell interacts with the gel. Roll 1d20 and check the following table for the outcome. So we're looking at players actually making some of these, right? Roll result 1. Lightning Bolt spell reflects back to the caster. Failed. Probably bounced off that electrum mold that you're working off of, right? 2 to 3. Mixture and mold explode, causing 46 points of damage to everyone in a 10-foot radius. Failed. Even better than the bounce, right? 4 to 6. Nothing happens. Wizard must create a new gelatin. Failed. So you botched it. But at least it didn't explode, right? 7 to 19. A Magian is born. Success. Great, you got your Magian. And then on 20, natural 20, a Magian is born. What the wizard does not know, however, is that an evil intelligence from the outer planes has possessed its body and will eventually turn the creature against the wizard. That strikes me as, yeah. Because, they're constructs. They don't have any souls. They're just ripe for being taken over by astral intelligences, aren't they? Well, finally, the equipment, tools, and mold can be reused after the first construction. If a wizard tries to use the mold to create a different type of Magian than was previously produced, the attempt automatically fails. Each reuse of mold requires a saving throw versus lightning. Failure indicates the mold breaks during the final spell casting. If breakage occurs, yet the 1d20 roll indicated success, there is a slight 5% chance that the Magian emerges perfectly formed and fully self-aware, not subject to this wizard's command. But usually a broken mold results in a misshapen Magian that dissolves into nothing in a few minutes. So, in the event of it emerging but outside the wizard's command, up to you. I mean, if you want to populate it with an entity like on the 20 roll, I don't even know if you should let your players make these. Up to you. It's your campaign, really, but if they want to unleash their inner Dr. Frankenstein, I guess they can. You might as well enable players to do things they want to do, as long as it fits within your game universe, right? If they're like, I want to make an AK-47, you'd be like, nah, man. You know what this setting is. No. Although, actually, there's technological stuff to be found. It's just a huge diversion. We're not going to get into it. We have another monster to get into, actually. So, the Manikin. We're on a theme of constructs here. So, as we can see, we have a pictured kind of ruddy wooden creature, right? It's holding a test tube, implying it's quite small. It's standing in front of a spoon, right? Um, it's a little faded as usual, but it is definitely green liquid inside the test tube. It's it's got the slightest suggestion of like a face going on here. Like if this is the eyes and then kind of a bit of mouth here, right? It's obviously got some feet and some like kind of tentacly hands, and it's a little root creature, right? So the mannequin, climate, terrain, wizards, laboratories. That's right, it's that kind of creature. Frequency rare. They are solitary. Activity cycle any. Their diet is water and soil nutrients, so it's kind of living. Its intelligence is animal intelligence, 1. No treasure, alignment true neutral, 1 appears, armor class 6, movement 12, hit dice, it's really just half a hit die. It's 1 to 4 hit points. It doesn't have a to hit AC 0, just nil. It has no attacks. It has no damage per attack because it has no attacks. However, its special attack is a shriek. Its special defense is melding and hide in shadows. It has no magic resistance. Its size is tiny. They're 10 inches tall, which means that's actually a fairly sizable test tube. Their morale is unsteady at 6, so they're not the bravest thing. XP value 120. The Manikin, a tiny humanoid with gray or brown rubbery skin, smells of freshly turned earth. It does not speak or write. The creature comes from a rare plant called mandragora. You think I would know how to say this by this point. It's not like it's an unfamiliar word. Mandragora. There. You've read about it in your Harry Potter books, I can assure you. The plant's 10-inch long root has a gnarled humanoid shape, with a few leaves growing at the top. Wizards familiar with the mandragora, such as those with the herbalism proficiency, can use arcane methods to turn the root into a manikin. Combat. The manikin cannot fight effectively, so it avoids combat. The creature seems quite fast for its size. In addition, it can meld into wood and move within it at a rate of 10 feet per round. It can also meld with stone, though it moves through it at only 5 foot per round. In addition, the mannequin can hide in shadows with a 65% chance of success. The mannequin wreaks vengeance upon all who would slay it, emitting a horrible shriek when it dies. The individual who killed it must make a successful saving throw versus death or fall dead as if affected by a lethal poison. When a mannequin dies, its creator permanently loses a number of hit points equal to the creature's. A mannequin expires instantly when its creator dies. So, they're kind of life-bound. And that whole shrieking thing is based off the mandragora root, right? I assure you, there's nothing all that strange and weird here. If you're familiar with depiction in popular media of tiny little mannequin creatures, other than the fact that they're way more rooty than maybe you'd probably see in I don't know, like Bride of Frankenstein, right? Bride of Frankenstein, the little constructs are just tiny 10-foot little doll people, right? Habitat/society. A wizard can enchant as many mannequins as he wants as long as he can find enough mandragora roots. And also, I assume if he has enough hit points. Although, I guess he's not actually limited. We'll get into it. But, you're taking a risk if you have banked out. It's like writing checks you can't cover, right? Manikin's creator can read the little creature's mind as clearly as if it were a book. The wizard mentally controls the mannequin and often uses it as an assistant when working in his laboratory. The wizard is performing when the wizard is performing a complex experiment, the creature automatically senses its master's needs and performs the necessary task, such as fetching tools or handling poisonous substances. Using mannequins as help when making potions or other magical items increases the success chances by 3% per mannequin used to a maximum of 12%. So maybe you want 4 mannequins, right? A wizard must designate a specific point of his laboratory as the mannequin's spiritual tether. Any unmovable item will suffice. This location can never change, and the mannequin must remain within 100 feet of this point until either it or its creator dies. Often, the mannequin's tether point is a large pot holding soil. The mannequin must spend at least an hour each day in soil, absorbing the nutrients and water it needs for survival. A mannequin denied soil and water loses 1 hit point per day until it dies, at which time it releases its shriek to affect whoever prevented it from gaining the substances required for life. Ecology. The mannequin has no real effect on the environment except as it helps its creator. A mannequin's body can be used in the same way as a mandragora root. See below. And so now we're going to go into a mandragora root. Mandragora root. The rare mandragora root grows only in temperate forests. One mandragora almost never grows within 20 miles of another. A successful herbalism proficiency check allows a person to recognize signs and determine if a mandragora root grows in a given forest or section of large forest. Finding the root requires hours of searching. Provided mandragora root grows in the area, a person with the herbalism non-weapon proficiency has a 1 in 10 chance each hour of finding the root. Someone without herbalism has a 1 in 20 chance each hour of locating it. The mandragora root feels warm to the touch and sometimes twitches slightly. However, the root cannot travel by itself and has no combat abilities. Like the mannequin, though, the mandragora has a spectacular defense. If pulled up, the root oozes a blood-like sap and shrieks horribly. The creature uprooting it must make a saving throw versus death or die in agony as the plant shrieks. Looping a rope around the plant and pulling it out does not spare one from the dire effects, nor does deafness. It seems as if the plant wants to avenge its death, and no defensive measure can stop it. Mandragora continues to be harvested nonetheless. Evil wizards have been known to tie the plant to a dog or other small animal. The animal dies in the process of uprooting it, but the wizard can then safely pick up the root. Most wizards find the unseen servant spell useful in harvesting this plant, and you don't need to explain why you have to keep buying dogs. Actually, I believe that comes from original folklore kind of material, like, real medieval stuff. Because there were works of alchemy out there in the world, and they talked about mandragora roots, and this is how you're supposed to harvest it, But yes, unseen servants strike me as a much better approach to this problem. Eating raw mandragora root necessitates a saving throw versus poison. Success means that the taster falls ill for 1d6 hours and lies helpless with stomach spasms. Failure results in death. So again, maybe don't eat it. I don't know why you want to eat one, but maybe you don't know you're eating one, right? Someone has served it to you. Knowledgeable alchemists can treat the mandragora root to produce various compounds such as poisons, soporifics, anesthetics, aphrodisiacs, or medications that improve fertility. The root is also a major component of filters of love and potions of invulnerability, heroism, treasure finding, and plant control. Only one compound or potion can derive from each individual root. To create a manikin, a wizard enchants the mandragora root with a monster summoning 1 spell, followed by permanency. Permanency is not an easy spell to come by, but once you have it, it's super handy. Um, but I would need to look up exactly what level you need to be a spell that is, but I don't recall it being terribly low. Um, yeah, neat little guys, and certainly adds flavor to the wizard lab, right? Uh, but in the end, these are just minor punctuation marks in a setting as opposed to anything severe. But maybe you could have some fun with them. Like, they can pop in and out of wood structures and get around pretty in interesting ways. Um, that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk to you today. And you enjoyed learning about the monsters, honestly. And if you liked that, please hit like, or if you haven't, subscribe to my channel. It helps me know that you like this content, and I appreciate you spending time with me today. Have a great day. Goodbye.